Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking closely today at, well, the subtle ways we navigate work tasks, sometimes trying to gently nudge them elsewhere.
hmm And our guide for this is a really interesting piece called How to Politely Say Do It Yourself, The Art of Strategic Delegation.
Right. So the mission for you listening is to get under the skin of those common workplace phrases. You know, the ones they sound helpful, maybe collaborative.
But they might actually be code for you handle this. We're going to unpack some everyday communication, looking for what this source calls polite deflection or even strategic non-delegation.
Yeah, the source really gets that fine line between teamwork and, well, not wanting to do everything yourself. It has a bit of fun with it,
Yeah.
looking at the hidden meanings.
Definitely. So it starts by outlining these three tiers of do-it-yourself diplomacy. Tier one is called helpful, but hands-off.
Okay, helpful but hands-off. What does that look like?
Well, think about phrases like, here's a resource that might help. Sounds good, right? Like you're helping out.
Sure, seems supportive.
But the source suggests the real message is often just read it yourself. Find the answer in there.
Ah, okay, so less helping, more directing to help.
Exactly. Or I'd suggest checking the guidelines. Again, sounds like useful advice.
But really it's saying,
The answer is right there. Go look. It puts the onus back on the asker, even though it feels helpful initially.
it's like a teacher pointing to the bookshelf instead of just giving the page number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's tier one, then we get to tier two.
Tier two is neutral. Plausible deniability. This is where the responsibility shift gets a bit more obvious, maybe?
Plausible deniability.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. How does that work?
Okay, so let me know what you decide.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's like, I trust you, you've got this.
Right, empowering.
Or, your problem now. That's the source's take. You're kind of stepping back, creating distance.
Washing your hands of it politely.
Sort of, yeah. And another one, I'll defer to your expertise. Sounds complimentary, right?
Very much so. Flattering, even.
But the hidden message, according to the source, could be, I refuse to own this. It's a smart way to signal it's not your area and you're opting out.
Wow. Okay. It's like saying not it with a compliment. A verbal hot potato game.
That's a good way to put it. And that leads us to the third tier, which is even more direct in its own way.
This is the not my circus professional exit tier. Sounds quite final.
It often is. This is about clearly passing the issue along. Like, this might be better handled by your team.
Okay, directing it specifically away from you.
Exactly. The source's blunt translation, never speak to me about this again. Ouch. But professional.
A very firm boundary drawn with polite language.
Precisely. Or how about I'll loop in colleague? Sounds collaborative, bringing someone else in.
Yeah, like you're helping connect the dots.
But it could just mean they deal with you now. You've successfully redirected the person asking.
Passing the buck, but making sure it lands somewhere specific.
Okay, I see. And the source has a listener story on this. Yeah, from S at Delegation Fail, I said, you've got this, to a lazy coworker. They didn't got this. Now it's my mess.
Oh no. That really shows how these phrases, even if meant well, can backfire, right? Trying to be encouraging, but it doesn't always work.
It really does. It highlights that gap between intention and outcome.
Yeah.
But, the source also digs into ways people intentionally sound supportive while strategically doing nothing.
Ah, the deliberate tactics.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into those. First up is the empowerment trick. What's that about?
This uses phrases like, this is a great opportunity for you to take ownership. Sounds positive, encourages initiative.
Yeah, like you're offering them a chance to shine.
Mm-hmm. But the pragmatic translation, you do the
Really?
work. It frames the task as a benefit to them, shifting the effort entirely onto their plate.
It's like gift wrapping a task they didn't ask for. Clever, but maybe a bit sneaky.
It can be. Then there's the busy shield. I think we all recognize this one.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to help, but I'm just swamped right now.
Exactly. Sounds regretful, makes you seem like a team player who would help if you could.
But the underlying message might be,
Ask someone who cares. Or at least ask someone who isn't me. Being swamped is often a universally accepted reason to decline.
a very common, very effective shield. Okay, what's next?
The source calls this one the redirect, nuclear option. This is when you bring in the big guns.
Oh, so.
By saying something like, HR would probably know best about that. Or legal. Or IT.
Ah, sending them to a whole other department. That definitely feels like an escalation.
It is. The source translates this one quite dramatically. They will haunt you. It's not just avoiding the task, it's potentially sending them into a bureaucratic maze.
A powerful deflection indeed. And there's a pro tip associated with these tactics.
Yes. always end with keep me posted.
Keep me posted. Why that specific phrase?
Because, as the source says, it sounds engaged but requires zero effort.
Huh. That's brilliant. You seem interested, you seem invested in the outcome.
But you don't actually have to do anything. It's peak performative engagement. Maintain the appearance, avoid the work.
Okay, that's quite a toolkit of deflection tactics. Now, the source also mentions culture playing a role.
Right, cultural differences in delegation. Apparently, how these things land or how they're phrased can vary.
So what are some examples?
Well, the American approach is often direct. Own this. But the source cheekily suggests this can translate to suffer alone.
Oof. Highlighting that individual responsibility aspect, maybe.
Seems like it. Then you have the British approach. Would you mind taking point? Very polite, right?
Extremely polite.
But the underlying meaning, you're doing this? The politeness just softens the directive.
The classic British
much.
understatement.
Yeah.
Got it. Any others?
There's the Australian example. Yeah, nah, you're across it.
Yeah, no. Okay, what's the translation there?
Basically, not my problem.
Oh.
It's more casual, maybe more blunt in its own way, but the message is clear disengagement.
Fascinating how the core message gets delivered so differently depending on the cultural context.
Absolutely. It shows how much nuance is packed into seemingly simple workplace exchanges.
The source also had a listener hack, something about email attachments.
Oh, yeah, from at Paper Trail Queen, the hack is, I attach relevant docs to every email. They never read them.
So it's like providing the information, technically.
Exactly. It's a kind of passive contribution. You can say, well, I sent you the documents. It creates a paper trail, makes you feel like you've helped.
Even if nobody actually reads the attachment or acts on it, another subtle way to appear involved without real engagement.
Precisely. It's like information sharing is a form of deflection in itself.
Okay, so given all this, the source sets a challenge for listeners, the DIY Diplomacy Challenge. What's involved?
It's got 3 missions. Mission 1 is spot one fake helpful phrase, like hearing, let's discuss options, and realizing it might mean you brainstorm alone.
Just becoming more aware in your own day-to-day, sharpening those listening skills for subtext.
Exactly. Then mission 2 is test the empowerment trick. Try saying, this will really showcase your skills.
And see what happens. The translation being, of course, your workload now.
Right. Observe the outcome. Does it actually empower or just delegate?
A little workplace experiment. And mission 3.
Deploy. Keep me posted. Use it after making or receiving a request and watch them do the work.
Sort of tongue-in-cheek, highlighting how hands-off that phrase really is.
Definitely. But there's a warning, too. Hashtag delegation backfire example. Told my boss you'd excel at this. Now they excel at assigning it to me.
Huh. So these tactics aren't foolproof. They can absolutely backfire.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be careful. Using these kinds of phrases yourself comes with risks. Workplace dynamics are complex. Things can be easily misunderstood or, like in the example, turned right back on you.
Good point. So boiling it all down, the big takeaway here seems to be that language matters a lot. What sounds like teamwork can sometimes be a very polite way of saying you work.
Yeah, hopefully you listening are now a bit more tuned in to these subtle signals.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with.
Now that you're more aware of this polite deflection, how might you navigate things differently? Both when you suspect you're on the receiving end and maybe when you're tempted to use these tactics yourself, strategically or not.
And beyond just spotting deflection, what does real effective collaboration actually look like compared to this DIY diplomacy? Something to think about.